Hey, welcome back to Food According to El Roca. So today, guys, like I promised, we are making mashed potatoes, but it's not just any mashed potato, it's the creamiest garlic mashed potato. It's so delicious. So follow this recipe and I promise you're gonna love this. So I started by peeling my potatoes and then I tried to cut them. And when you cut them, just make sure you are cutting them in an even. They must be at least the same size, not small and big. Like make sure they are at least the same size, even if it's not exact, but even sizes. And then you're gonna cut them and don't cut them too small, because when you cook them they come out fluffier when they are a little bit big. So guys, I put my potatoes inside my pot like that, and then I'm going to cook these potatoes in cold water. You start them in cold water, don't start them in hot water, just start them in cold water because they cook evenly that way. And then we're gonna put them in cold water and put a little bit of salt in there. So it depends how much potatoes you are cooking. The salt also, don't put too much, because I didn't put too much salt because I'm going to use a salted butter. So you just cook them and simmer them until they are soft. Test them with a knife like this, and then once they are soft, as you can see, but don't overcook them. As soon as your knife can go through, then they are ready. They are still firm, but you know what to cook through. So drain the cold water. Drain the water from the potatoes, and then on the side we're gonna start preparing the mixture that we're gonna put into your potatoes. You're gonna start by melting butter, and I'm using butter here, not margarine. But because of affordability, if you can afford to buy butter, you can use margarine. But I'm using butter because it's nicer with butter. So I'm going to melt my butter in there, and then after melting my butter, I'm going to mash my garlic. I used fresh garlic, but if you can use crushed, but I would prefer it if you were to use a fresh garlic. And then I put a little bit of black pepper, coarse black pepper. And then, as you can see, I didn't put any salt because the potatoes were salted. And then I put some chives in there. I chopped up some chives and put them in there. And then from there, I put my cream in there. So I put about a cup of cream to 4 tablespoons of butter. So it depends how much potatoes you are making. You can double that if you are making more potatoes. And then from there, you let that mixture simmer a little bit until it comes to a boil a little bit. Don't overboil it. Just simmer it until it comes to a boil, as you can see, so that everything comes together. And then from there, take your potatoes, mash them. I put them back on the stove because I want them to get hot also. Mash them. I use this masher, the potato masher, as you can see, to mash them. But to make sure that I get them to that consistency without any lumps. We don't want any lumps in these potatoes. So I also put them through a sieve. But if you don't want to do this, so if you have a ricer, a potato ricer, you can use that. But because I don't have the potato ricer, I'll put the picture of it here. And then if you have that, you can, or if you can buy it, or if you have that, you can use that. But because I don't have it, I used that measure so that I can, but because there's still lumps, then I put it through a sieve, as you can see. So by putting it through this sieve, you are making them as fine as possible. I'm fine, as you can see, they come out very fine and no lumps whatsoever. So we want to get rid of all the lumps that you can get rid of. Then you put them back on the stove so that you hotten them up. They must be a little bit hot. And then that mixture of yours with the cream and butter is also hot. So the potatoes must be hot, the mixture must be hot, and then you put the mixture in there. So I put a little bit at the time while I'm busy stirring it, so that I can check the consistency, because you don't want it to be too runny or anything like that. So you put it a little bit at a time so that you can control the consistency of your potatoes, as you can see. And then if you see that they're not too runny, you put the rest of the mixture in the potatoes, and then you mix it up. Guys, you put this in when you're about to serve, just when you are almost about to serve your potatoes, then you put that in. I promise you, these potatoes will be a hit on your table. I promise you, these are so delicious. Like the garlic, the chives, the as you can see, I because I used salted butter. If you use non-salted butter, then you can taste your potatoes and increase the seasoning if it's not enough. But if you're gonna use salted butter and you salted your potatoes when you boiled them, I don't think you need to put any more salt in there. That will be enough. And then butter, and then when I serve them, I put a little bit more butter and more chives on it. Guys, this was so delicious. I promise you, you're gonna love this recipe. So guys, this is so creamy, garlicky, and if you want to put more garlic, please go ahead and put more garlic. But this is so creamy, so delicious, and you can serve them. You know, potatoes go with a lot of things, but in this case, I made some short rib stew on the side and served it with that. It was so delicious, guys. I can't even explain it. Just try it and then trust me. This is the best potatoes I've ever tasted. I suggest you try the recipe so that you can taste what I'm tasting now. I promise you, you're gonna love it 100%.